Om Shanti. Murli date 29th of October 2024. Bap Dada, Madhuban. Essence, sweet children, remove the rubbish of the vices from your soul and become pure flowers. Only by having remembrance of the Father will all the rubbish be removed. Question. In which one aspect do you children who are becoming pure have to follow the Father? Answer. The Father is supremely pure and doesn't mix with the souls who became impure with rubbish. He remains very sacred. Similarly, you children who are also becoming pure have to follow the Father. See no evil. Om Shanti. The Father sits here and explains to you children. Both are fathers. One is called the spiritual father and the other is called a physical father. The body of the both is one, and so it is as though both fathers are explaining. Although one explains and other understands, it would still be said that both are explaining. There is so much dirt that has accumulated on such a tiny soul. So much loss is incurred when dirt is accumulated. This profit and loss is visible when souls are in their bodies. You know that when we soul became pure, we will receive bodies that are as pure as those of Lakshmi and Narayan. So much dirt is now accumulated on souls. When honey is collected, it is filtered and so much rubbish is removed and the pure honey is separated. Soul too became very dirty. This soul was clean and completely pure and his body was so beautiful. Look how beautiful the bodies of the Lakshmi and Narayan are. People only worship bodies. They don't see the souls. They have no recognition of a soul. At first, souls were beautiful and they received pure bodies. You too now wish to become like them. So, you souls have to become that pure. A soul is said to be Tamo Pradhan because it is full of rubbish. It has the rubbish of body consciousness and also that of lust and anger. In order to remove the rubbish from something, it is filtered. When something is filtered, its color changes. If you sit and think about this very well, you will feel that there is a lot of rubbish within you. There is the existence of Ravan in souls. By your staying in remembrance of the Father now, the rubbish will be removed. This too takes time. The Father explains, because of having body consciousness, there is so much rubbish of the vices. The rubbish of the anger is no less. It is as though an angry person burns within. His heart burns due to one thing or another. His face also becomes as red as copper. You souls now understand that you have become burnt. You now know how much dirt there is in souls. There are very few people who understand these things. First-class flowers are needed for this. There are many defects now. You have to remove all weaknesses and become completely pure. This Lakshmi and Narayan are so pure. In fact, no one has the right to touch them. Impure ones cannot go and touch such elevated pure deity idols. They are not worthy of touching pure ones. No one can touch Shiva. He is incorporeal and so he cannot be touched. He is the most pure. People keep a large image of him, but no one can touch such a tiny point. When a soul enters a body grows. The soul doesn't become longer or smaller. This is the world of rubbish. There is so much rubbish in souls. Shiv Baba is very sacred. He is very pure. Here, everyone is made out to be the same. They even say to one another, you are like an animal. Such language is not used in the golden age. You souls now feel that a lot of dirt has accumulated on you. Souls are no longer worthy of having remembrance of the Father. Maya also considers souls to be unworthy and pushes them aside. The Father is so sacred. Look what souls have become from what we were. The Father now explains, you called out to me to come and make souls pure. Souls are filled with a lot of rubbish. Not all flowers in a garden are first class. There are number-wise. The Father is the master of the garden. Souls became so pure and then became so dirty. They became like thrones. There is the rubbish of body consciousness, lust and anger in souls. Human beings have so much anger in them. When you became pure, you won't feel like looking at anyone's face. See no evil. You mustn't even look at impure beings. When souls became pure and receive pure new bodies, they don't see any rubbish at all. This world of rubbish ends. The Father explains, you have become such rubbish by becoming body conscious. You have become impure. Children call out, Baba, I have an evil spirit of anger in me. Baba, I have come to you to become pure. You know that the Father is ever pure. People defame the highest authority so much by calling him omnipresent. You also dislike yourself so much because you can see what you were and what you have now become. Only you children understand these things. No one else can explain this aim and object in any other spiritual gathering or university, etc. You children now understand how souls have continued to accumulate rubbish. There was a deduction of 2 degrees and then 4 degrees, and souls continue to be filled with rubbish in this way, and this is why they are called Tamo-Pradhan. Some burn with greed and some burn with attachment and die. They will burn and die. In that stage, you children now have to shed your bodies in remembrance of Shiv Baba, who is making you become like them. The Father made Lakshmi and Narayan became like that. So, you have to remain very careful. Many storms will come. There are only storms of Maya. There are no other storms. Similarly, they have stories of Hanuman, etc. In the scriptures, they say God created the scriptures. God speaks the essence of all Vedas and scriptures. God granted salvation. So, why would he need to write scriptures? The Father says, hear no evil. You cannot become elevated through these scriptures, etc. I am separate from all of those. No one recognizes me. No one knows what the Father is. The Father knows who does his service. That is, only those who became benevolent and benefit others climb onto the Father's heart. Some are such that they don't even know about service. You children have received this knowledge of considering yourselves to be souls and of remembering the Father. Although you souls became pure, your bodies are still impure. There is the difference of day and night between the activity of soul who became pure and those who don't. It can also know from their behavior. No one's name is mentioned. If their name were mentioned, they might become even worse. You can now see the difference between what you were and what you have to become. Therefore, you have to follow Srimad. All the rubbish you are filled with has to be removed. In worldly relationships too, the Father gets feedback with his children if they became very dirty. He would say that it would be better if he hadn't have a child like that. There is fragrance in the flower garden. However, according to the drama, there is also rubbish. No one even wants to look at an up flower. However, when you go to a garden, your vision would fall on all the flowers. The soul would say, This one is such and such a flower. You would take fragrance from good flowers. The Father also sees how much some souls stay on the pilgrimage of remembrance, how pure they have become, and how they make others pure like themselves, and how much of this knowledge they relate. The main thing is to be man manabo. The Father says, remember me and you will become a pure flower. Lakshmi and Narayan were such pure flowers. Shubaba is still more sacred than that. People don't know that Shubaba made Lakshmi and Narayan became like that. You know that they became that by making this effort. The Father explains a great deal. Firstly, you have to stay on the pilgrimage of remembrance so that the rubbish can be removed and you souls can become pure. Many people come to you at the museum, etc. You children have to have a lot of interest in doing service. You mustn't renounce service and go to sleep. You have to remain very accurate in doing service. You people leave yourselves time for rest even at the museum. Your throats became tired and you do have to eat, but day and night you should have the enthusiasm inside yourselves to show the path to anyone who comes. If people come during meals time, you have to attend to them first and then take your meal. You should be those who do such service. Some have a lot of body consciousness and they became lords who love to rest. The Father has to tell you, renounce this leadership. The Father would also grant visions. Look at your status. You yourself put the acts of body conscious on your feet. Many children compete with Baba. Oh, this is Shubaba's chariot and it has to be looked after. There are some here who take a lot of medicine from doctors. Baba says, you have to keep your body healthy, but you also have to look at your stage. If you eat in remembrance of Baba, nothing will cause you any harm. By having remembrance, you will be filled with power. Your food will become very pure. However, you don't yet have that stage. Baba says, the food prepared by Brahmins is highest of all. But that is only when they prepare it while staying in remembrance. By preparing it in remembrance, those who prepare it will benefit and those who eat it will also benefit. There are many who are like up flowers. What status will those poor people claim? The Father has mercy for them. However, it is also fixed for some to become maids and servants. You mustn't become happy with that. Some don't even think I have to become that. Instead of becoming maids and servants, it would be better if you became wealthy. You would then be able to have maids and servants. The Father says, constantly remember me alone and attain happiness by remembering me. Devotees set and created the rosary to rotate. That is the work of devotees. The Father simply says, consider yourself to be souls and remember the Father. That's all. You don't have to chant mantras or turn rosaries. You have to know the Father and remember Him. You don't have to say Baba, Baba with your mouths. You know that He is the unlimited Father of us souls. By remembering Him, we will become Sato Pradhan. That is, we souls will become pure. It is so easy. However, it is a battlefield. You have to battle with Maya. She repeatedly breaks your intellect's yoga. The more loving someone intellect is at the time of destruction, the higher the status he claims. You mustn't remember anyone except the one. In the previous cycle, two such ones emerged and became the breeds of the rosary of victory. The rosary of Rudra is of Brahmins, who belong to the Brahmin clan and who make a lot of incognito effort. This knowledge is incognito. The Father knows each one very well. Those who were considered to be very good ones are no longer here today. There is a lot of body consciousness and they are unable to have remembrance of the Father. Maya slaps them very hard. There are very few from whom the rosary can be created. Therefore, the Father still explains to you children, continue to look at yourselves as to how we were such pure deities and then from those how you became like rubbish. You have to now found Shiv Baba and so you have to follow his directions. You mustn't remember bodily beings. You mustn't remember anyone else. You mustn't even keep anyone's picture. Like there be remembrance of one Shiv Baba alone. Shiv Baba doesn't have a body of his own. I take this one temporary on loan. He makes so much effort to make you into deities like Lakshmi and Narayan. The Father says, you invite me into this impure world. I purify you and you won't even invite me into the pure world. What would he do there? His service is to purify everyone. The Father knows that you have been burnt, that you have become like a charcoal. The Father has come to make you beautiful. Acha. To the sweetest, beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance and good morning from the Mother, the Father Bap Dada. The spiritual Father says, Namaste to you spiritual children. Spiritual children says, Namaste to spiritual Father. Essence for Dharana. First point, remain very accurate in doing service. Let there be enthusiasm for doing service day and night. Never renounce service and go for a rest. Became as benevolent as the Father. Second point, became one with a loving intellect by having remembrance of the One and remove the rubbish from within you. Became a fragrant flower. Do not attach your heart to this world of rubbish. Blessing, may you stabilize your mind and intellect on the seat of your elevated stage and became an embodiment of tapasya. A tapasvi always does tapasya while seated on one or another seat. The seat of you tapasvi soul is your stable angelic stage. To stabilize yourself in this elevated stage means to sit on your seat. A physical body sits on a physical seat. But you sit your mind and intellect on this elevated seat. Those tapasvis stand on one leg, whereas you stabilize yourself in a constant and stable stage. Theirs is Hatha Yoga, whereas yours is Easy Yoga. Slogan, you children of the Father, the ocean of love, remain full of the Ganga of love. Acha, Om Shanti.